Guys, welcome back to another video. Now this video will probably be a little bit controversial, and that is because I scaled my social media marketing agency in a way that doesn't make sense. You see, most people, when they look at starting a social media marketing agency, they look at paid advertising as the main service that they could offer because it's very scalable. In theory, if they get a client that's paying them $1,000 per month and they're getting them great results, they can scale up the amount of money they're spending on ads for the business, and hence they can probably then scale up the amount they're charging and make more infinitely. And so when I was starting my agency, I didn't actually start with that. I started with social media management and content creation. Those two services, social media management and content creation, go hand in hand and got my business to over $50,000 a month. I was then able to get that same business to over $1 million in revenue, and eventually I exited my half of the business to my business partner. But before I started that, I actually was a freelancer. I was getting paid by companies to do a bunch of random things. For example, I had this fitness coach that was paying me to do some paid advertising, to take some sales calls for him, to do some basic admin, but also to manage some of his social media. And so working with him and a few different clients, I was able to see the marketing sphere. I was able to see all the different services that you could offer: email marketing, paid advertising, social media management, and so on. And being brutally honest, it was so abundantly clear to me that the most scalable was actually going to be content creation and social media management. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through why. So one reason why social media management and content creation, I think, is a much better service for you to offer than paid advertising is the low barrier to entry. The learning curve is minimal. It's easy to outsource. You can hire really talented people for very cheap, and it's quite easy to manage, meaning that you can focus on the things that make your business the most money, which is speaking with more clients and bringing in more deals. You see, if you take Facebook or Instagram advertising, it's a very technical skill. There's lots of little things that you can do that can go horribly wrong. For example, when you're setting the budget on your ads, I've seen this happen to friends of mine. They accidentally, instead of putting in $50 a day, put in $500 a day. And that's not your money you're spending, that's your client's money. Of course, that's a small thing, but that can have a massive impact. When we look at outsourcing, finding somebody that can run paid advertising at a pretty good level, but also in a way where it's going to be profitable for you, as in they're not going to cost too much money, it's quite difficult. When we look at the amount of graphic designers and video editors, because of that lower barrier to entry, there's more of them, meaning that there's just more people out there to find those that are actually really good and won't charge you much money. Probably the most important reason why I love offering social media management and content creation instead of paid advertising is because paid advertising is seen as a return on investment service. Essentially, that means if a business owner pays you money and you don't make them money right away, they're probably not going to pay you for next month. It's very transactional. They pay you, you run ads hopefully make them money. If ads don't make them money, they're going to cancel. However, with my favorite service, social media management and content creation, it's completely different because a lot of clients are buying that because yes, they want to get a return on investment, but they know that that takes time. And they also know that they can't just expect to post a few pieces of content and immediately get a result. If you're posting on social media for a business for 3 months, and let's just say you haven't hit that financial target that they're looking to hit, you haven't made them as much money as they would like to based on how much they're paying you, it's still not the end of the world because you've built up brand, you've built up awareness, you've created assets, pieces of content that they can reuse down the line, and you've done that for 3 months. So it's very unlikely that they will now cancel with you if they like the content, but they're just not happy with the result because of the fact that now their audience is used to seeing that amount of content. If they go from posting once a day with the content you're posting right now to nothing, their audience is going to know that, and they're in fact probably going to make less money, because some of those people in that audience were probably buying based on the content they were seeing. Another reason that Facebook and paid advertising is probably not the service I would start off with as a beginner is, yes, it's very complex, hard to learn. That's the main thing. But also, it's quite difficult to have very good profit margins with that type of business unless you do everything. Again, way easier to find a graphic designer that will create really nice graphics for Instagram at $5 per graphic versus a guy that can run really high level Facebook ads and create the content for those Facebook ads at a reasonable price. The typical way, if you're running paid advertising and you're building a team, is you would ideally pay your team a percentage of what you're getting paid from the client. But trust me, I've been there and a lot of my friends run these types of agencies, so I know it's quite difficult to find those people that are really good at advertising but also won't charge you an arm and a leg. The last thing I want you to consider is this. I've seen this play out time and time again with people in my program. You get a client, let's say it's a roofer, and you're running Facebook ads directly for this guy that offers roofing services. Well, it's a pretty high ticket service. You know, he's not going to be doing that kind of work for $50 or $100, right? It's high ticket. He charges quite a lot of money, and he's probably the one doing the work. Maybe he's got a small team, a couple of guys that help him out, but his capacity is probably going to be quite limited. When you run Facebook ads for him and it doesn't work, he will fire you, right? Because he's spending money and he's not getting a return. When you're running Facebook ads for him and it works and you book him out, cool, great. But he also may stop working with you. It's really common with this service where even when you get a client, great results, depending on how scalable their business is, they may need to cancel anyway. So you can get them fantastic results. And then all of a sudden, 3 months in, they go, hey, we got to take a pause here. We've enough business here for the next 3 to 6 months. We'll come back to you in 3 to 6 months. Whereas if we go back to social media management, content creation, we're not just getting paid for that return. So even let's say if we're posting on social media for a business and it's absolutely blowing up for them, right? Like it's clearly getting them tons of leads and now they're booked out for 3 months. Again, are they going to cancel? Way less likely, because that audience has now been built up. That audience is used to seeing that content, and the content we post to that audience, we can now shift. We might talk less about directly their services and pushing people to sign up for their services. And we might talk a little bit more about just like awareness and reviews and different pieces that will still build the brand and build that momentum. And we can let people know that there's a waiting list for now. If you want more proof on this, just go to my YouTube channel and look at the interviews I've hosted with people that are making 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 30, 40, 50,000 and beyond. Most of them, guess what they're doing? Social media management, content creation. You're not going to find that many people running ads. There are some people running ads in there, but when we look at how much of their revenue is coming from ads, it's actually quite little, and the work that they do is quite high for that amount of money. Now, at this point, I have helped well over 100 people build social media and content creation businesses well past 100K a year. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about working one-on-one with me, check the description of the video. There'll be some info there on how you can do it. No pressure, just letting you know, and I hope this video helped.